Did it send? There it goes. Oh, let's go.
Hi. I
We're
can't
hitting that
hear.
camera button and getting it started, but you did it first try. Look at you.
Yay. Hi. How's it going?
How are you doing? I'm doing good. Doing
I'm
good.
good. Thank you. I like the pink shirt with the logo.
I had to rock the pink tonight. Had to do it.
I love it. Hi,
Awesome.
everybody.
Everybody say hi to ZK. Show her some love. If you guys got some extra coins, throw them her way. Gift her all night long. We're going to be asking her lots of questions, nothing too crazy, but should be a lot of fun. That way you guys can learn again from somebody who started from the ground up, worked their way to Whatnot royalty at this point. Crazy, awesome shows she has over there. So if you're not following her on Whatnot, make sure you go follow her. She has awesome shows. So let's go ahead and get started. We got 200 people in here and they want to learn all about you. So let's start out. Introduce yourself to the people. Let them know who you are.
Okay, well, I'm Zoreen, but I go by ZK on Whatnot, which is like my first and last initials. I've been a Whatnotter for about a year. I have a background in finance, didn't have any reselling background, decided to cold turkey quit my job, was going through some stuff, love fashion, love clothing, and then joined a Whatnot about a year ago. And this is Tango, by the way. He likes to be star of the show, so he's right here with me hanging out. But yeah, that's kind of it. Just the rest is history. I've been on Whatnot, love Whatnot. It's become my life. It's taken over my life, and now I'm a clothing reseller.
Awesome. So what got you into reselling? You said you kind of just quit your job cold turkey. Was it like a video you watched, or did you just quit cold turkey and was like, hey, I want to do reselling?
So my brother, my younger brother, he's actually in the comics category, and he has been on Whatnot for a little bit longer than me. So he's the one who told me about it. He said, "Hey, women's clothing category is new. Last year they released women's category in vintage and thrift. So that was like back in March. So he's like, you should try it since you're thinking about quitting. You love clothing. Maybe you can try it in the interim to make some money while you're looking for your next venture in life." So that's how I kind of found out about Whatnot. And then I started just supporting the community, buying things from all the fellow resellers and showing up, moderating for them. And then I was like, maybe I can do this too. And that's how I became a seller on the app.
Okay, so you never sold on any other platforms. You didn't do like Poshmark, live selling, anything like that. You're pretty much just straight to Whatnot.
So no live selling, but I did sell my own like personal stuff on Mercari and on Poshmark. Like I would have my activewear leggings. I always liked clothes. I always had a ton of clothes. So I was like, you know what? Let me sell my stuff. So I would sell my actual worn clothing on Mercari and Poshmark, but like very very minimal. So that's the only selling experience I had.
Yep. And me and ZK actually ran into each other way before she was on Whatnot. I was doing my TikTok lives back when I had like 5 people in the chat, and ZK would stop in like every night, say what's up. And then, yeah. And now we're at to like 100 to 200 people on every live. So it's pretty cool that this is like a full circle moment. Meeting you on TikTok, you move over to Whatnot, and then you come back to TikTok and you get a little interview over here. So it's pretty cool.
Wild, wild.
Yeah,
We're so
pretty
happy
cool.
to have you on Whatnot.
Yep. How did you, so say it again. How did you hear about Whatnot? What like got you motivated to move over there and start selling?
Yeah, so my brother told me about Whatnot, and then I just became kind of addicted to the app. Kind of like the story of everybody that downloads the app. Like I became obsessed. I think I lived, breathed, inhaled Whatnot all day long. I just could not stop watching it. It was so much fun to watch. Hi, everybody. So I just became like full on obsessed, and I started like hanging out in everybody's show. Although it was still very new in the women's category, so I was just hanging out in everybody's show and supporting. So that's kind of what got me onto the app. And then after hanging out and kind of like learning the ropes a little bit, I started my own Whatnot channel, and then I was like, let's do this.
hmm So talk about how you grew your following. Because if you look at I got some statistics here on IG, you have 10K followers. And this is completely different than most Whatnot people, the numbers that I'm about to tell you guys. You have 6.4K followers on TikTok, and you have 25K followers on Whatnot. And normally when people see people that do good on Whatnot, they'll notice they have like a big YouTube channel, or they have like a Facebook following or a TikTok following. And I hear it all the time. People say, you can't do good on Whatnot unless you have a following elsewhere. And you're the perfect example of somebody who built their following on Whatnot. So talk about that process of what you did to build such a big following.
Yeah, and I mean, just to give you a little insight too, when I started Whatnot, I had 100 people on my Instagram, and that's like because that was like friends and family. You know how you have your own personal account on Instagram. So I literally had no following on Instagram. TikTok was something I did for fun like a long time ago. I maybe had like 4,000 people, and that's like from like a year and a half ago. So that was also like a dead account for me because I wasn't really posting on TikTok. So I truly started from scratch, and the reason I was able to build a following on Whatnot is because I think I stayed consistent. I've been on the app for about a year now with Whatnot. Showing face is so important. So I don't think like people like you said, a lot of people will come in there and say the only way you can be popular and Whatnot is if you bring in a whole social media following with you, and that wasn't the case for me. Nobody knew me. I was just a good member of the community. I would go in there, support people's show, moderate for people for hours long, help out, and then I started being consistent and selling on Whatnot every single day. And then that's how I became somebody that was kind of known on Whatnot, is because I would just show up every single day, have a stream every single day, and then slowly my social media on Instagram started building to from coming from Whatnot. So for me, it was a reverse process. My Whatnot following is what helped my Instagram grow.
Awesome. So talk about the beginning process. Were you like profiting off your shows right away, or was it a mindset that, hey, I'm going to take a little bit of a loss just to build my following so that way later I can do these amazing shows where I'm on a treadmill and I'm walking and I'm changing my outfits and I'm selling them for buku bucks. Was that like the mindset in the beginning, or were you profiting right away? You were making good money?
Yeah, I think I kind of, I'm a risk taker. I talk about this in my stream sometimes. I knew going in, it takes a lot of patience and resilience to build a business from scratch. So I knew I was going to be okay taking losses up front, but I started very cautiously. So I started with really low cost inventory. I started with having thrifted almost all of my items. So right now I do a lot of women's contemporary brands, new with tag, new stuff, and I do a lot of bulk buying. Before it was like going in thrift stores on 50% off days and sourcing things for $3 to $5 and trying to keep my costs low. So even if I lost money, it wasn't that monumental, but I started gaining momentum on the app pretty quickly on. I think I stood out a little bit. I had a certain aesthetic. I was bringing styling and fashion into it. So I was like, hey, this is an American Eagle top, but it is so cute. You could style it with this jeans and this cardigan and you're going to have the perfect fall outfit. And then my stuff started getting momentum pretty quickly on. So I wasn't taking too much of a loss, but I did take some losses in some shows for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good to hear because I think a lot of people think, especially coming over from TikTok, because a lot of them are eBay resellers, Poshmark resellers, and they do like all the marketing for you. Obviously, when you're going over to Whatnot, you're doing all that marketing yourself. People go in and they have 20 people in their shows and they're taking a loss. But I always try to remind them that sometimes it's okay to take a loss in the beginning. So that way people come back for the good deals. And as you build that crowd, you're going to get more and more people in your shows.
I totally agree. I mean, even in my shows now, even if I have 150 people in my show, there might be an item that still goes for $1. And I'm absolutely okay with that because, first of all, you should be okay with your customers getting a deal too, not just you getting all the deals. And I know for a fact that customers going to come back and shop with me again, another show, another show, and another show. So I think it is truly a process where you build from scratch, and you shouldn't be afraid to take risk in a business because no business, like Whatnot, a lot of people have a mindset of, I have my first show, I'm going to be profitable in my first show, I'm going to have a huge showing on my first show, and no business, no entrepreneur is successful on day one. So that's something I preach quite a bit because I'm like, you have to have patience, that it's going to take time for you to build your business. It doesn't happen overnight.
Awesome. Talk about the kind of shows you do, because I know you do all kinds of different shows. Like, what's your schedule throughout the week? Do you have like set days you do specific type of shows, or is it just random? You just let your people know the day before what the next show is going to be like?
Yeah, I'm pretty consistent. I would say I stream about 5 days a week. I take right now 2 days off, and even if on my day off, I usually try to come in and have like a chill vibes hangout stream. So I would say pretty consistently 5 to 6 streams a week. I'm a nighttime seller. I ended up being stationed as a nighttime seller because I was sourcing all throughout the day, and the only time I could really stream was nighttime. So I go and stream almost 7 p.m. Pacific on the dot every single day. My shows are tiered based on what's happening. Like I try to make a lot of my bigger shows more inventory heavy based show towards the end of the week, and a lot of clear out shows in the middle of the week. And Mondays I usually will just do a random, but I do have certain themes, certain brands I roll out in certain shows. I might have like a special show that's scheduled once every couple of weeks or once every month, like the fashion show you talked about earlier. Like that was a big event for me once that month, so I would like hype it up all month to get to that show. So it truly just depends, but there's a lot of strategic involvement in me scheduling my shows. I don't just show up. There's always like a rhyme or reason for what show is scheduled for what day.
Awesome. With that fashion show, did you schedule it like a month ahead so you had it already set up so you got the bookmarks there?
Yeah, 100%. The fashion show was scheduled a month in advance, and I was hyping it up in almost every single show, begging for bookmarks. I was like, you guys, please show up for me. I'm going to be on a treadmill. I need the support. If I fall off, we're going to pretend that it was totally normal that I fell off the treadmill, okay? It's just going to be part of the show. So everybody showed up. We had a great time. But yeah, I marketed it pretty aggressively for a month.
Okay. How important for you now is bookmarks? I know with my shows, I do push for bookmarks, but a lot of times like I'll get 150 bookmarks and then I'll have 250 people on my show. So at this point, I'm almost like not pushing for bookmarks because I feel like people are still going to show up.
100%. I think bookmarks truly show not like right now there's no correlation in my brain with bookmarks and algorithm. However, there is some sort of a psyche process behind it. Like for me, I think if I can get like a fashion show type event up to 1,000 bookmarks and even half show up, that kind of shows me okay, I will have roughly 400 to 500 people in that show up. Oh, whoa, I've never seen that. Cool.
It's
Thank
dropping
you guys.
roses.
Oh, how fun. Thank you so much. I've never seen that. That's so fun. I think there's no like hard answer that says that you're going to have a bookmark will mean that for sure I'll have a certain amount of traffic in my show. But if you scroll through a women's category lineup, and let's just say you're somebody who's not really well known, bookmarks do help you kind of stand out. So if I'm scrolling, there's 10, 20, 50, 50, and then all of a sudden I see 300 bookmarks. If I'm completely new to the app, I might be more inclined to stop and say, why does this particular person have 300 bookmarks and this person has like 20? So I look at it as like a mental thing, mental psyche thing. And also personally, it's like a little bit of a
I
Yes,
hit the
very
live goal.
happy. It's fun. It feels like I'm in the casino in Vegas right now. So I actually love seeing bookmarks rise because for me, I feel like, okay, my people are going to show up for me. So I think it's more for me than the algorithm.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. Like, especially if a person's like browsing shows too, and they see 1,000 bookmarks on a show, they might be like, "I need to be there just for a little bit, just to see what's going on," and then you get them hooked the whole time. Especially with like the runway show. How, I was gonna ask this later, but we might as well ask it now. How did you come up with that idea? Because that was me and Chris were texting. Me and Chris at Peak were literally texting each other as that show was going on. Because I think I had my show that day, or he had his show. I can't remember. And we were texting each other, and we're like, how cool is this show? We don't shop ladies' clothes, but we were like stuck watching how cool your show was. So how did you come up with that idea? Was that the first time you've done that show? And are you going to do one again?
Yeah, so actually, okay, so I've always been a really creative person and I love fashion, I love styling. So I don't just do women's clothing because it's a good flip for me. I actually do it because I'm obsessed with women's fashion and I would love to be like someone's stylist one day. Like that's like a whole dream and goal of mine. So I've done a fashion show. I did it last quarter, but it was in my tiny little 600. So I just moved to Vegas, just a little backstory and upgraded to a house where I have more space to store inventory and stuff like that. But for almost a year of doing whatnot, I was in a 692 square foot apartment by myself, living in that apartment, running out of things out of that apartment. So when I did the fashion show, it was out of that apartment. Everybody had given me a huge response to that fashion show, but it was a very minuscule level. So I knew that when I got situated in Vegas, I wanted to do a bigger fashion show. And I just recently started doing reels on the treadmill. I just got this, you guys can kind of see it's like right there. I started doing reels on that treadmill, just like showing off my outfits or inventory coming up, just a creative way to highlight some things that are coming up in the fashion. So I was just thinking, why don't I just go live? It's never been done before and get on the treadmill and just showcase my outfits. It would just add a certain flair to my show and a little different. It'll help me stand out. I was nervous out of my damn mind that I was going to fall and break my neck on camera. But besides that, luckily everything went okay, but that's how I came up with it. I'm definitely going to have another one. I already have things like in my other room behind me. I'm starting to put away certain things that I'm scheduling for the next one. I have it on my calendar on Whatnot, but there's no theme that's revealed because I'm keeping that very low key until I have the right pieces curated for it. But I'm going to take the next one to the next level. I'm really excited about it.
That's awesome. So how did you come up with the idea of like the silent show, like no talking? And I noticed that your music correlated with your outfits too. So you had to plan like all the soundtrack with the outfits, like the process that went into that. Talk about that a little bit, because that must have been super hard to set up.
Yeah, it took me forever to curate that show, not only for outfits, but figuring out music, like you said. And then I would literally try on outfits up until the last day and change things up. And I'm like, oh, this hat can go better with this outfit. This shoes will go better with this outfit. But I wanted to do silent auction because if you go to an actual fashion show, you're not talking. You have the models that are running by you, and then you're paying attention. Like the entire focus in us is on someone's clothes. So I even started my fashion show and I said, you guys, as much as we want to all make money, this fashion show is not about making money for me. It's about me showing my creativity. I want you guys to see my outfits and be impressed by what I'm presenting to you. So I had everything curated from extra small up to 3X, so that I was able to be size inclusive and come on there and show them things the way I would style them as ZK styles. So for me, that was kind of the creative process behind it. And I wanted to make sure there was no talking because I didn't want to take away from the fashion show aspect of the entire stream.
How many items in total did you run that show? Clearly everything sold, so we don't need to talk about that. But how many items in total did you run?
Yeah, I did. I think when I looked at my sold comps, the end of the show was like 110 items total. So I had 25 outfits, but each outfit would have like maybe multiple sizes, purses, tops, bottom. And then I also had stuff in the buy it now for like $10 sale or less. So I even had like some t-shirts for people to grab and stuff like that. But after the end of the show, 110 items sold.
Awesome. How much do you put into your buy it now? I know we put merch in our buy it now. There's sometimes we'll drop some like singular like lower dollar items. People can get some steals from there, enter in the giveaways. But how much do you put in the buy it now? Do you have like a long list, or is it just like a couple items you fill?
Yeah, so right now my bite now is looking a little scrappy. It's not looking the best, I'll be honest. It requires work for you to sit down and put stuff in the bite now because you actually have to have stock photos, list, because you're not presenting the item in an auction. You can run like super fast, but bite now requires some work. So typically right now, the only time I'm doing bite now is if I have a bigger show planned and I'm thinking in giveaways, people are going to simultaneously shop. However, if I were giving advice right now, and not showing how I'm doing things because I'm just running really hard and fast. Buy it now is the most beautiful thing ever if you do have things that you can load up on there. Because let's just say if you have an hour block and you're making sales and buy it now is working for you simultaneously and you're making sales here, you now double the amount per each 10-second, 15-second auction you're selling. So like now your comps look even twice as great because you're passively selling here while you're actively selling in front of people. So I think it's phenomenal. I just need to get better at getting some help and getting that loaded up.
Do you have any employees, or is this all solo operation for you?
Yeah, so it has been solo for almost a year. I just added one of the girls that was in my fashion show that was helping entertaining during giveaway. Her name is Haley. She's a 20-year-old kid. She's amazing. She's my brother's goddaughter. So he introduced me to her, and we just recently added her to help with shipping. And right now she's primarily focusing on shipping and helping me get stuff out because I recently ramped up and I'm moving almost 700 pieces on average per week on Whatnot, if not more. So it's getting very hard for me to ship on my own stream, source, all that stuff. So because of that, this is why I had to add somebody else recently. I would love to add more people.
That's awesome. We're hiring my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
Next Monday is her first day,
Oh
so
my gosh, I
we're in
love that.
yeah, we're in the same category. I'm going to start focusing more on content while she's doing a lot more of the eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, because we're not only doing Whatnot, we're also selling on those platforms as well too.
Oh,
So it's
yeah.
it's a huge grind. And lately, I've had like zero time to do anything. I love doing interviews like this. I used to do one every like week or 2 weeks, and I just haven't had time. I haven't done one in like a month and a half. So I
Wow.
want to get back to the weekly interviews, bringing on people from the community that people want to learn from, such as you, because there's a lot of knowledge out there to spread. So
Well, you spread a lot of knowledge to people. I actually would come into your streams because I would learn and pick up stuff from you. This is when I was starting to like learn about reselling. I was like, what is reselling? And I would learn a lot from you. So thank you for all the knowledge that you and Mrs. Kway also shares. Like you guys are amazing as a couple and family. And I've learned personally a lot from you guys.
yeah, thank you too, because I get like so many followers every time I come into your live, and you're like, Gateway's here, and everybody. I look at the. It takes like 30 seconds for Whatnot to like do its thing, but then after that, it's like follow, follow, follow. I was like, oh, ZK shouted me out, so that's why I'm getting all these
Yeah.
followers.
Yeah.
That's
Of course.
awesome. That's awesome. So talk about some upsides and downsides to Whatnot. What are some perks to Whatnot, and what are some things that were a little hard in the beginning, or now that are a little bit of a downside for you?
Okay, yeah. Upside is definitely high volume selling. If you can condition yourself and get your inventory up and lower your inventory costs down, it was like the most beautiful platform ever to move things really fast. I think the infrastructure on Whatnot is phenomenal. Literally, live selling is so smooth on Whatnot. I mean, with the exception of having some glitches from here and there, which I worked for JP Morgan, I worked for one of the biggest investment firms, and we would have technical glitches all the time. So I can't expect a starter app per se to not have glitches. It's going to happen no matter where you're at. I think live selling is a beautiful thing. I think if you're somebody who has a personality to get in front of the camera and present the items and run them fast, I think you can make so much money. It's like almost they say the sky is the limit. And as cliche as that sound on Whatnot, truly sky is the limit. You can literally go live every single day as long as you've mastered low cost inventory, start your items and sell them every single night. There's no end to it and it keeps growing. It's phenomenal. And right now we're gearing up for fourth quarter, which last year was my best quarter on the app. And I can only imagine the potential for this year because I've grown so much since then. The app has grown so much since then. So I'm already thinking I'm gonna stream every freaking day on fourth quarter and make the most money I've ever made on the app, right? So I think financially the app is phenomenal. The drawbacks on the app still is I still think it's a little bit of a starter app on our category. Not other categories. Other categories on Whatnot have been around for a while, but the women's category is about a year old. So I think you still run into certain challenges on the app when it comes to perhaps having some slower days from time to time. And that can kind of be a thing that holds you back, especially if you're a newer seller and you may not have the following. But I would still recommend streaming every single day because even if it's a slower day and a customer got a deal, that customer is bound to return to you on another day and pay up for another item. So I think that could be the only thing where even I was like, I joke around, but I saw one of my friends in here, one of my girlfriends, Marilyn, her and I met through the app. She's a seller on the app. But in summer, her and I chatted. We were like, man, we're getting our butt kicked in the summer. Because summer, you know, in June, you see people traveling. So like it slows down. And there was times where like our shows were struggling. She's right there. And it's like, oh my God, yo, this is like humbling you. Like Whatnot has a way of humbling you. You could be at the very top 1 month and feel like it's there. And then your sales could dip and you're like, oh my God, what do I need to do to like re-strategize so I can get my sales back up? So that is one thing. I think if the app grows in a few years the way it's going to, that will no longer be the case because there will just be so much traffic on the app. But right now that can be something that I struggle with slightly at times too. I think
Yeah.
everybody does.
Yeah, that's a good point. There was, I mean, we sell on eBay, Poshmark, Mercari. We heard for the last 3, 4 months, you know, what's happened to eBay? eBay's dead. eBay's dying. Nobody's buying anymore. I went from 10 sales a day to 2 sales a day, but it's all summer slowdown. Like you said, it's
Yeah.
people on vacation. People aren't shopping during that time of year. The last few years, everybody had the COVID money being dropped into their bank account. So it kind of buffered throughout the summer. Everybody had money to spend. So everybody had really good sales throughout the year. And this was one, I think last year had summer slowdown, but it wasn't as bad as this year. This was definitely back to like normal retail behavior. But like you said, you just adjust your business. You figure out ways to, you know, not keep doing the same thing. People who fail do the same thing over and over again. And when they fail, they keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. I know for us, we moved from Poshmark, Mercari, and eBay and started selling on Whatnot like right before summer slowdown. It was perfect because we now sell Whatnot by the end of the year might be our best selling platform. Um, I definitely think I hear you when you say you're going to go live every single day, fourth quarter. I think I'm going to do the same thing, even if it's just random pop-up shows where I'm not making a ton of money, but I'm also gaining the following. That's going to be huge. But everybody in chat, if you're doing the same thing and you're not seeing results, switch it up a little bit. Just try something new.
I couldn't agree with that more. Whatnot is like I'm diagnosed clinically with ADHD, right? I've had ADHD since I was a kid. So think about Whatnot as an ADHD kid. Like you cannot come there and give them the same material, same content, same clothing every single day. They're gonna get bored. So you've got to figure out how can you make your shows more fun. Do you add more games? Do you add more giveaways? Do you add a fun aspect to it? Is it sudden death one day? Is it not sudden death one day? You have to keep innovating on Whatnot or it gets really boring really fast and they're gonna find the next seller to go get them, especially if you aren't going to be super like spunky and fun and exciting. I don't think that needs to be the case every single day. Obviously, if you're streaming 5 times a day, you can't put theatrics every single day, but it's okay to strategize and say, well, now I'm gonna do a Barbie themed show or whatever theme show you might have and curate a show specifically for that so you can keep innovating and growing on the app and people keep finding you interesting.
100%. Where are you getting most of your inventory now? You don't have to give exact sources if you don't want to. You can hide the information because I know sourcing, especially new tag inventory, can be super secretive because you don't want to give everybody your spot. So, are you getting a lot of your inventory still from thrift stores? Are you going to retail stores? Are you one of the people that buy like huge pallets of like truckloads of stuff and have it delivered? Like, where are you getting your inventory?
Sure. Yeah. So this is one of the questions that I guess asked quite a bit. So definitely don't do pallets. I don't resonate with pallets. I don't do well with bulk inventory though. That's awesome. I don't resonate with bulk inventory where I don't have a lot of say in what I pick. So primarily I'll focus on a lot of retail arbitrage. Right now, like my goal in the morning after shipping is kind of handled. I leave the house, I go check out the stores, outlets, clearance stores, any liquidation stores, and I will literally buy things that I think I can pay a certain price for, and I still can get a little bit of an up price on that item on whatnot and flip it. So retail arbitrage is my number one source. The second thing is going to be a lot of online stuff. So like I think just like passive and active investments, since I have a finance background, I believe in passive inventory coming in. So I focus on bulk ordering online on websites. I focus on finding our retail arbitrage opportunities online. And with women's category, especially modern category, new tech stuff, you can typically find a lot of places and websites online if you do Google searches enough where you can be like, okay, this is on sale. I can probably get this for my show and flip it. I now have the luxury to be able to buy things at a little bit of a premium since I have built that following where if I spend $10 on an item, like I'm okay with that because for me, I'm like, okay, my customers will still pay me 15 or 20 or 30 for it. So that's kind of my primary ways of sourcing right now. I stopped thrifting not because I wanted to. I used to thrift quite a bit in the beginning of my whatnot career. I just, in Texas, where I was located, I was paying almost the same amount for thrifted items on non 50% off days, like 10 to 20 versus that. And then I would have to come home, make sure to look at the stains and make sure to like process it, wash it, clean it, those items. And I simply did not have enough time because I was a full-time whatnot seller running at 100 miles per hour. So I switched completely my model from thrifted goods to modern new tag goods, and it's kind of switched over and hasn't gone back since.
Awesome. Do you have like a minimum? Appreciate the gift. Do you have like a minimum profit you go for, and do you specifically buy items that you know you might break even on just to draw people into your show?
Yeah, 100%. So both things. So I typically, if I'm sourcing an item, and this doesn't always happen, it's not the perfect formula, but I try to source things that are $10 or less. Like that's usually a mental thing for me. I say, okay, if I'm spending up for something, I either want it to be a loss leader, meaning it's an item to draw a particular crowd in. So it might be a Ruby Free People jacket. Even if I don't make more than $5 or $10 on it net of fees, I'm okay with that because I know it draws people in. People like a good Ruby jacket, and I'm okay breaking even on some items. You have to think how quickly you can flip items on whatnot. I'm not waiting around and listing things and taking pictures and waiting a few weeks for that to flip. I can flip things within 10 seconds sudden death. So if in 10 seconds sudden death, 1 hour item, I sold 100 items, I'm okay not taking profit on a few items. It's not a big deal to me. So $10 is a nice little mental cushion for me. Now I pay up for a lot more items, such as a Nike jacket. I might pay like 20 or $30 for it, thinking it might still flip for 50 or $60, which it does consistently in my show. I think with whatnot, you become really good at sourcing what you think your customer base would like, because you start to realize who your customers are and what they're looking for. So I know exactly the type of aesthetic what my women clients are looking for, and I get really conditioned about shopping those and picking up the right items for it.
Awesome. Now let's talk about a little bit about your strategy with your giveaways. I know the way we run our shows is we have a really cool buyer appreciation giveaway. Like this week on our show, we're doing 100 items, and we have Yeezy slides that we're giving away size 11. That's our strategy with our shows. What kind of strategies do you use with your shows with giveaways? Are there just giveaways throughout the show? Do you run buyer appreciation? How do you do that?
Yeah, so lately I've started doing buyer appreciation almost in every single show. Just my mom made me realize that actually she would get really upset when people would win giveaways and it wouldn't be one of my customers. She's like, "Well, I want it to be that it goes to one of your customers. They support you." And she just means well. She just it should go to the people that are there spending money with you. And I try to tell her, "Mom, it's big. Like everybody's supporting. Not everybody can spend money. All that stuff." So she's like, "Well, do both." So I'm like, "All right, sounds good." So I started adding buyers appreciation giveaway, and I'll typically have it where we love Mama Shakira. My mom's name is Shakira. So like everybody knows her in the chat. She comes, supports every show. She's like my cheerleader. So
Right.
people love her. So she's the reason I started doing buyers appreciation giveaways. So now I do them consistently in every single show towards the later half of the show. I don't wait till the very end. Some of my shows run rather long and people get tired and it's East Coast and all that stuff. So I'll do that. And then I also do giveaways throughout the show. I always do a giveaway at the beginning of the show just to talk, let the people know, hey, how's it going? This is the format of today's show, catch up with them. And I do run strategic giveaways in the middle of the show if in case I need a break. To be honest, sometimes I'm winded because I talk really fast and I run really fast. So sometimes I'm truly exhausted and giveaways give me a chance to refuel. And other times it's truly to like bring the traffic back up. Because if I see a little lull and I'm like, you know what, a giveaway might help me get a little more people and get the crowd excited again, I'll pause, I'll do the giveaway, run it for 5 minutes and bring the crowd back in.
Awesome. Yeah, we normally do on our side like 60 to 70 items when we do our 100 item shows. But the 60 and 70 items, we split giveaways. We do 3 buyer appreciation giveaways. We run one like a third of the way through, 2/3 of the way through, and then we run the main one at the very end. So that way, people that are buying will consistently stay throughout the show because they have multiple opportunities to get that buyer appreciation. When we do the 100 item show, because we're probably going to have more people in, we're probably going to do 3 buyer appreciation and probably 2 to 3 just regular giveaways because we're going to use those shows not only to profit but also grow our following. We're trying to run like crazy good items on Whatnot. We're not trying to do like really basic like thrifted items. If we do used items, we're trying to do like really high end stuff to really draw that specific customer. I think people just starting out, especially in this community, will try to attract other resellers. They'll put out their content like other resellers in the community come to my show. Eventually, what you want to do is you want to switch that up, and you want to get more of a normal customer base.
I agree
Um,
100%. I
yeah,
think I think I think your profit margins will also improve with that mentality. And I think you do want an actual customer mentality because a customer is going to build that connection with you where you're literally dressing them day to day. Like I have people that are going to transition now from summer into fall and they want me to dress them for fall. They want jackets for fall. They want turtlenecks for fall. And you want that relationship with your customer base, which you're not always going to get with another reseller.
100%. Talk about your sourcing strategy with that, because if you're buying retail, I know that you're probably buying off-season stuff. So obviously now you're probably going to start buying your summer stuff. You're going to hold it till next summer, and then in the summer you're buying winter stuff. So talk a little bit about that strategy.
Not necessarily for me. I'm actually okay. So I grew up really, really poor, like dirt poor with my family, and that conditioned me to become an excellent shopper. And even before Whatnot and everything, like my family would have a running joke and they'd be like, if you want a good deal, you go shop with ZK. Like I'm just really good at sourcing. It comes naturally to me. I can see an item and pick it out. I can look through clearance and pick out a bunch of stuff. I've been like that since I was a kid. So like for me, I actually focus on current items. I don't do very well with buying a ton in advance. Now I do have some summer inventory that I'm starting to stash away because I'm like, it's just not the item right now to pull out because it's not the season for a romper. Like it's going to be turning into colder months. So let me just box that away and focus on other things. Now it's not fall yet either, but I'm already buying a lot of things for fall and slowly bringing them out in my show and conditioning my buyers to start thinking fall even when it's not fall. So like every show I'm starting to bring out hoodies now, jackets now, sweats now. So I'm not doing a lot of it. I'm still doing summer items and I might do like 10 of those items. So then their mindset is starting to go towards fall. So it's like a transition for me. So I do buy current items. I do buy things on sale still that will apply and transition them into a new season.
Yeah, we actually have all of our jackets stored away. We've been buying jackets for like 6 months now, and in Florida, it's super hot outside. So thrift stores have been putting like North Face out for like $4, $5. So we have literally a whole storage unit, literally stacked full of North Face jackets that we're going to bring out. Obviously they're pre-owned. Some are new, but most are pre-owned. But we're paying like $4 to $5 for those. And talk a little bit about, you've done this for a full year. So talk about the profit margins, winter time versus summertime.
Oh yeah, it's a huge discrepancy between the two. So like winter margins are phenomenal. You can think about paying up for inventory. Like right now for me to pay up $20 for a jacket is not that unseemingly. I'm like, okay, that's okay because I can still get that $20 jacket to flip for $40 on Whatnot within like 10 seconds sudden death. So for me, it makes sense because I'm doubling my money within an hour and I'm okay with that. I could never do that in summer. I could never go out there and spend $20 for a tank top or shorts or even a dress and expect that to flip, because it's totally different strategy. So in fall and winter, people are more likely to spend more, because if even this jacket, for instance, like this is a doll skill jacket, it's by the Widow collection. I paid up for it, but I know for a fact I'm gonna wear this a lot during winter and fall because it's a zip up hoodie. I'm gonna get a lot of use out of it. I might not get a lot of use out of it 15 pair of shorts in my closet.
Hmm.
So I think now is a time where you can gear up, get some good pieces. Like you said, with Whatnot, you're strategizing and bringing good stuff out. You're not just bringing out crap. And I think what people don't realize it when they try to be safe on Whatnot is, if you bring out inventory that's just basic, like ain't nobody gonna come and buy it from you. It's just, it is what it is. Like you've got to innovate, you've got to bring out new pieces, you got to bring out stuff that other people don't have, and you've got to have a lot of variety in brands. Like I've gone in your show, I've seen everything. I've seen everything from North Face to a men's brand that you might talk about, like Robert Graham, or like I've seen so much. And then you'll have women's Athleta and other stuff. Like I bought an Athleta joggers from y'all. You have something for everybody in your shows, and that's how I would say I would encourage our sellers to think about fall and winter, is have something for everybody.
Yep. Yeah, we tend to bring, I think about 30 to 40% of new with tag items, and then this other 60% is all pre-owned stuff. Obviously, our margins are really good on the pre-owned stuff, and a lot of the new with tag items are just draw items. Like last week, we ran a Polo Ralph Lauren full like windbreaker jacket. Retail on that was $398. I paid $80 for it. I still turned a profit. I think I sold it for 109, but that was a draw item. That's something that people see and they're like, holy crap, he's got a $400 piece. The 2 weeks before that, when we ran our 100 item show, we had a double RL Ralph Lauren, like full suit, like suit jacket looking thing. Basically like what criminals wear. That's what it kind of looked like. But retail on that was $695, and we brought that in and we ran that. So, yeah, we try to bring a little bit of everything. So that way when people, because we do the buyer appreciation giveaways, that way people can get into those with a smaller dollar amount too. You don't have to pay $200 to get in. Sometimes you only have to pay $10 to get into those buyer appreciations.
And I think you made such a good point where you said you brought in those items for Whatnot. Like I think a lot of people struggle with that when they've been a Poshmark or an eBay reseller for so long, and then they'll think, well, I can flip that for $300 on Poshmark. I'll never get that money on Whatnot. But that's okay. You have to think about how quickly you're flipping it on Whatnot with how little effort. Technically, there's really no effort. You go in front of a camera, you show the item, and it flips within seconds, right? So like, be okay to like bring out some of your fire to Whatnot, even if it's that one item in that show, even if it's 5 items in that show, because your client will resonate with that one item. It makes your show stand out. I do a sneak peek and I'll say, these are my bangers coming into the show today. And those are like my top notch inventory. That's to tell them, hey, along with my normal item, we're about to have these bangers in the show, which obviously, yeah, we could flip for more money on the other platform, but I'm not going to, because it's for my Whatnot people. It's for my Whatnot folks. So make them feel special with your top inventory pieces too.
Yep. Another strategy that you might be able to steal a little bit from us is we're doing consignment now. So our shows normally bring in anywhere between 150 to 250 people. So we're getting pretty good money per piece. So we've already done one full consignment with somebody. They've been paid out. The great thing about Whatnot is we do 70-30 splits, which is super generous because you know how much work it is to put together a show. So it's 70-30 splits. Consignee gets 70, we get 30, and I'm only pulling top end items. I get hit up probably 2-3 times a day, like, hey, I got stuff for your Whatnot show. Are you interested? And they'll send me the list, and I'll be like, sorry, your items just aren't what I'm looking for. I'm looking for top end stuff because I know if I bring in top end stuff, I can get top dollar for them, and the person will be super happy with their payout. If they're sending me lower end stuff, then I know that that'll be the lower tier items in my show, which will go for less money. So that's something I don't know if you would even consider doing consignment for your followers, because I know you bring in a huge crowd. So somebody might be able to say, hey, if you do 70-30 or 60-40 for me, I'll just send a whole slew of items to you.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's brilliant. I actually had seen another person who was a TikToker who was on the app earlier on do that with some people that would sell her like boxes of inventory. And then she would just do it. And like you said, it's like if it's a high-end item, it would make sense. It would just, with women's contemporaries, the margins are very tight in almost every single item. There's not a lot of wiggle room unless like winter and fall pieces. So if it was something like that where it was geared towards weather related, I think that would be brilliant. I would love to take a look at that. That would be
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it'd be awesome because it frees you up too, where you don't have to source. And if they're sending top-notch items, even though I'm doing 70/30, which a lot of people I've talked to other creators and they're like, holy cow, 70/30 is like, that's insane. Like, you're literally like giving them money. And I'm like, they're giving me their top end stuff. So I'm not only getting that 30%, but I'm also gaining a ton of followers on top. People will see the crazy inventory that I have every single week, and they'll know I got to come to K-Way show every single week because he's going to have the craziest stuff, especially like the thrifted area of Whatnot. I'm going to have the craziest stuff because of that Whatnot. So that's the whole strategy behind that.
I think I love that. And I love it when you say you're going to run a show with 60 to 100 items. Like, I think that lets people know that they're going to stick around and keep finding more and more and more and more. And that's something it took me a long time to realize on Whatnot. I would do 1 hour power hour shows and I would do like 30 to 40 items because at that time sourcing was very hard for me. I was like literally going out there, buying that day and then running a show. And I think what I've learned now is people are willing to stick around and shop with you even if your margins may dwindle towards the very end of the show because it's been a long show, because they're invested in seeing what else you got, what else you got. So it's okay running longer shows, like push yourself out of your comfort zone, get a bigger show curated, even if it's once a week, like on a Friday night or something, and run 100 items. And I think it will make a huge difference in how your comps look, how much following you get from that one show, and how people stick around the whole time for it.
Talk a little bit about your strategy with sudden death. How do you do it? Do you switch up the times, and do you do just regular auctions throughout your live, like you said, to give you a little bit of a break?
Yeah, so okay, so I used to do 1 day a week, which was sudden death show, which was every Wednesday. Like I'm a creature of habit. It would be like, oh, once a week we're gonna do an inventory clear out. It'll be sudden death, and then I kind of became a little obsessed with sudden death lately, and then I was like, oh, I'm just gonna do 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. So truly now it depends on my mood. And the reason I was able to switch my mindset is because I do some bulk inventory orders as well, along with curated items. So when I'm paying up for a curated item that I went and source, I'll like say, because sudden death is off, so I do strategize it, and I'll say, I'll give you an opportunity to run this up to whoever the last bidder is. But then if I have a wholesale inventory deal coming in with 200 pieces and my average cost was, let's say, $5 or $7 or $10, I'm okay running it at sudden death, 15 seconds, 10 seconds, just to flip it really, really quick so I can make the money and move on to the next deal. So it's kind of a little bit of a catch-22 with this business. It's like you have to keep finding what's next. You never stop. So it's like you make the money, you reinvest into the next deal, and so on and so on and so forth. But that's what helps you grow, and that's where the struggle comes in as a reseller. You just have to putting in the work to keep growing. But yeah, sudden death is near and dear to my heart. I freaking love it. It attracts my ADHD. I freaking love it. I get a high off of it. And when I don't do sudden death now, I feel like it's so long. Like it drives me nuts.
Yep. That's actually why we bought that little hanger thing, because at sometimes we're just holding up the item and it was like 1 second left, and you get that last second bid and then you got to hold it up for another 10 seconds. You're like, I'd rather just let this thing go. Just go ahead and get it right now. I know when we first hopped on Whatnot, I got so many messages after my first couple of shows, people telling me like, why are you doing sudden death? You know, you're giving your items away for less, but you're also getting through your show super fast. Like 100 item show, if we did it all sudden death, we'd probably finish it in like an hour and 15 minutes, which is perfect. Obviously, some of those pieces could have probably went more because people are getting a little bit more time to think about that swipe button, but you're also getting through your show and you're keeping your crowd in your show. So yeah, there's a lot of strategy that goes behind it. I think now we're kind of switching it up to where some of our high tier items, we're doing regular auctions, where the low tier items, we're just running sudden death. But yeah, we're always like switching it up and trying to figure out the best way to do it. And I think there's never going to be a best way. It's always just switching up, finding what works.
Yeah, and I think it depends. It's contingent on the night too. Like you will literally see me strategize within a show. You'll see me start off sudden death. I'll see it's not kind of sticking with the people. It might be a Sunday. People are dragging feet. They're waking up. They're like me, looking like a zombie at 10 a.m. in the morning. Like I'm not a morning person anymore, right? And I'm like, maybe this is the time to switch it up. So in the middle of my show, after running a giveaway, I'll switch it up. I'll be like, you guys, all right, we're taking a break from sudden death. Let's try normal. And I'll try to look at my comps. I'll see how people are picking it up. Is it going well? The moment I feel like there's a lull again, I'll turn it back on again. There's no rules on Whatnot. It is your show. It is your business. You run it how you want. Don't let ZK or anybody else tell you otherwise, right? And also, just because sudden death works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Like, just because 5 seconds sudden death worked for me because I had 250 people in that show doesn't mean it's going to work for you either. It might also not work for you because your cost of good may not allow it. it. You may need to let people take the time, run it up, because you may have spent $15 on that item. I may have spent $5 on my item, where for me it's not a big deal to do 5 second sudden death. I'm just trying to double up my money. And like you said, like I'm starting to do shows now. Like my last Saturday, it was a almost 4 hour stream. I moved 300 pieces in that show. If I had done that show without sudden death, I would have died.
That would have
I
been
would
an 8 hour
have
show.
gone to heaven. I would have had white hair. I would have been 50 years old. Okay. So, like, we had to do sudden death, and I'm okay if I'm flipping 300 items within 3.5 hours, giveaways on top of that. I'm okay taking a $3 to $4 loss on each item while still doubling more than my money. So, I'm okay with that because it's all about efficiency for me at this point, not so much each item needs to draw the most amount of money for me.
Yep. Talk a little bit about, I think I know how you're going to answer this based off how you just answered that question, but talk a little bit about where you start your items at dollar wise and give some strategy to some people that might not have the same following as you do.
Yeah, so okay, so when I first started, I wasn't doing dollar starts all the time. I was doing $5 starts for thrifted items because my on 50% off days on thrifted items, my cost of good could be anywhere from $3.50 to like $5 on a really banger item, right? So I worked up to that. I This is a very sticky topic with people on Whatnot. The $1 auctions, either you love it or people are like, we don't want to do $1 auctions anymore because it doesn't work for us. And this is where I have to continually tell people and say, Whatnot is nothing but a marketplace. We are all different businesses that are renting Whatnot Marketplace to have our own business. I'm able to do $1 auctions because that is something I've conditioned my buyers to know. And just like sudden death is a condition, it's also conditioning treatment for your buyers. Not everybody understands sudden death, but you have to condition your buyers to learn it. Now, my buyers have been doing sudden death on my shows for a year now. There's some shows you go in, people don't know how to use sudden death because they haven't yet done it for a year now. So it's just a matter of, I just think $1 auctions work for me. Am I always going to do one auctions for the rest of my life? Probably not. But I also have the luxury of knowing that I'm going to be taken care of. And I have enough people in the room to take care of me. If you have 20 people in your room, you don't have to compete with my strategy or my business sales because, again, your business model may be totally different. Whatnot is my sole form of income. I don't really do business anywhere else. I don't have a spousal income. I don't have anything. This is it. So I've put my heart and soul on Whatnot to build it to the point where $1 auctions are now a thing in my show and it works for me, but it may not work for the next seller out there. I will say also this too. I'm a finance girl. And I've spent 13 years in the world of finance. I was a financial advisor. I know economics and I have a master's in financial planning. I understand auctioning really, really well because it's thinking about it is like the investments land, right? Like it's thinking about the marketplace, demand, supply.
And you just got a call.
For me, like I understand. Yeah, but for me, I get a lot of high off of seeing how the market is responding to my items. So I'm truly analytical. I'm truly analyzing. If something goes for $5 and I'm like, that could have gone for $20 in my head, I'm reevaluating getting that item again because I'm like, that did not land with my customers. So $1 auctions for me, it's a way for me to get a gauge of how my market is doing. But I have the luxury of having 100 to 150 people consistently in my show every single day to be able to do that. So for other people that can't do that, it's okay. You run your business the way you want to. You don't have to compete with anybody else. It is your business. You're paying the fee to this marketplace. You run it how you want to run it. I hope that helped.
Gotcha.
But it's kind of a sticky topic with people.
Okay. Let's ask you this question because I'm curious. I'm actually really curious on how you handle this. The word that nobody likes to hear on Whatnot, cancellations. How do you handle cancellations? We had some issues in the beginning, and obviously that was part of the learning curve. Of people that wanted to cancel like right after the show. And at first it wasn't clicking for me why they were doing that. And then I figured, oh, it's because they didn't want to buy appreciation giveaway. So now they're letting me know that the size doesn't work for them and they want me to cancel. And at first I did, but now I start every show by saying there are no cancellations. If you have to cancel for any reason, you have to cancel during the show. You have to let me know. If it gets to the end of the show and I've ended the show and then you message me afterwards and you say the size doesn't work, that doesn't work for me. So how do you handle that?
Yeah, I think you handled it perfectly. Luckily, I've been very blessed with the type of customers that come in my show For the most part, I do not run into too many cancellations, but that was an issue for me back in the day. So I think, again, conditioning your buyers and having that straight, direct form, like, you guys, if you want me to rerun an item, you have to tell me in the show because I lose money. And especially if it's an item that got run up, it's really disheartening to see because you saw so many people in there bidding for that item, and that person that wins it now took it away from all of those people that could have had it, right? So for me, it's like, I do get a little bit frustrated. Oh my gosh, this is, I was just looking at it, I'm like, oh, that's like the gateway with eggplants. Your crew comes in with the eggplants, it makes me laugh. You know, so for me, like, it is like, uh, I will say this. If it's a customer that I genuinely feel like didn't understand, like, if, in their explanation, if it genuinely makes sense for me to cancel for them, I will do it. Right now I have the luxury where I am selling so much stuff per week where I'm not so picky about canceling certain items. However, now the app has the swipe feature where you have to physically swipe to win an item. Before, it wasn't that way and people could accidentally click it. So now it'd be a lot harder for people to win an item unless they physically were swiping, right? So when they say, oh, I accidentally swiped or I hit it, it's a little harder to believe that. So I will tell you this, I do sometimes reject cancellations for sure, but I will accept it periodically if it makes sense, if it's an exception basis.
Yeah, yeah, I handle that the same way. Obviously, if you're doing sudden death and then somebody does one of those bids where it jumps from like $5 to $50 and then somebody swipes afterwards and then they didn't mean to because it just did a random huge jump, then yeah, of course, if I see that and they're like, hey, I didn't mean to bid $200 for that Athleta top, right? Then of course I'll cancel that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when something sells at market or under market and then you message me after the show and say, hey, I bought this, but it's not so and so size or it's not my size, can I cancel? Then it's like, listen, we have the sizes in the title. In some cases, we have measurements in the descriptions. There should be no reason, and we preload our shows at least a day in advance now, so you can go through all the inventory, all the pictures, all the flaws are described during the show. And of course, if I like mess up and I'm running an item and I realize, hey, there's a spot on this that I didn't describe, I let people know right then, hey, do you want to cancel? And if they want to cancel, I'll go ahead and rerun it, add it back in. But yeah, that was the most frustrating thing to start out with was like,
And you
hey,
also like see like a lot of people, and I don't. And this is a very small percentage, but let's just say you have a big crowd in your room. Some people truly will do it for clout. Like I hate saying that, but it's happened. It's happened. Some people literally want to be that customer that's constantly being seen as somebody who's buying, and a lot of times it could be a reseller, and it might be. And then afterwards, they're sending you cancellation. I've had the same person send me cancellation in 3 different shows, and they're a reseller. And for me, that was an absolute no-no. After it took me a second to understand it, but after the third show, I was like, you cannot keep doing this to me. So because of that, I think I wouldn't keep accepting cancellations over and over again. And I think it's okay to set the forum from the get-go. Like if you're having a show, start from the start and tell them, you guys, if you want anything, if there was an accidental thing, let me know from the start so we can run it in the show, or it's final sale. And a lot of people will put this in their notes. You know, the little sticky notes on whatnot, like Dolls Kill Show, they'll put absolutely no cancellations. Everything is final.
correct.
So it's okay to be direct with your customers and let them know that.
Talk a little bit about your setup when you do Whatnot. We actually bought an iPad specifically for Whatnot so we can be in front. But the problem was when we loaded the app, like it would be running the camera on this phone, and then as soon as I loaded up the app, it starts running the camera on the Whatnot app on my
iPad?
iPad. So everybody who joins after I load up the iPad gets to see the iPad view, whereas everybody that was there before sees the camera view. So then we stopped doing that, and I got to figure out how to get that to work.
So, and you're starting the actual show from your phone, correct? You're going
Yeah.
live from your phone.
Yeah, we
So
go
that
live. We put the camera right here with the phone, and then normally, like as soon as we start the show, I'll go in with the iPad. But then I laid the iPad down on the table, and people were like, "Why are we seeing the roof?" And I was like, "The roof? You're seeing my face. Like I can see my face on the app." They're like, "No, you're seeing the roof." And I picked up the iPad. I was like, "Oh, they're
was.
seeing the iPad, not the other camera."
Yeah, that was a glitch in the app for a while when I ran through
Okay.
the iPad. That was way back in the day, though. They've since fixed that. So I would honestly, this might be something that can help you if you go in the settings and turn off the camera settings for the app. I think it would just probably eliminate the camera going on while you're actually streaming, because it should never switch. Your primary device is only what you should go on. So I haven't had that issue, I would say, in months. So if it's
Okay.
happening to you, that might be a one-off thing.
Okay, yeah, because we want to be able to have me and Kayla both on camera at the same
Yeah.
time, hanging up the items. We can be talking to chat and everything, and then we can see the chat on the iPad. So that's the whole
Yeah.
reason we bought it. And then we bought it, and we're like, crap, this doesn't work. Like we got to figure out how to make it work.
And I
But
use three devices sometimes because I have the main phone, which I'm like right now streaming from for streaming. Then I have the iPad because I'm blind as a bat that helps me see the chat. And I have a third old phone. It's like an iPhone 8 or something like that. That's there in case I need to like stand around, move around, and exactly. So for me, it never switches over from my primary device. So if you have issues, just message me after this show. I'll help you figure it out. But it shouldn't. The iPad helps so much running a show smoothly.
yeah, I think I'll just turn off the camera function, and then I should be perfectly fine. So
Yeah.
yeah. If you guys have any questions for ZK, we'll open it up to chat. I think I got through most of mine. Normally, I write down a bunch of them, but I'll just talk through it and we'll ask each other questions, go back and forth. But if you have any questions, feel free to drop in the chat. I don't know if you have to go tonight or if you have like a schedule that a show you have to do, so
No,
we can hang out for a little bit.
Tuesdays are my day off. TC or Marvel, Marvel. They're seeing all of my statues, my little collector statues. Definitely Marvel for me. I love Marvel. Thanks, Marilyn.
Getting started as a seller. Talk about that. What would your advice be for somebody who is just hopping on, just like you, doesn't have like a massive social media following? How would you go about it now, knowing the knowledge you have?
Yeah, okay. I would say figure out what your brand is and what you bring to the table because there's a lot of competition no matter which industry you're in. So number one, getting started as a seller, what does James represent? Like what kind of clothes does he want to bring? What kind of inventory does he want to bring? Then two, get really, really good at your craft. I think knowledge is power no matter where you go. I think get really good at figuring out what you want to bring to the table, how you can reduce your cost down, and how you can be consistent. So if I was just starting like today on Whatnot and I was a nobody, which I was a year ago on Whatnot, like nobody knew who ZK was, I would get really involved with the community, go support shows, chat in there, get people to recognize your name. As big as Whatnot seems, it's a very small community in every category, and people get to know your username. So get very involved. You don't have to financially support. You can just involve yourself and type nice comments. Like, how often do you get nice comments and you get so excited when somebody says, "Oh my God, I love that North Face jacket," even if they're not bidding on it. But as a seller, it's a nice little boost for your inventory, your ego. Like somebody's helping you out in your chat. So that's what I would do to get started on Whatnot. Is just all of those things combined.
Talk a little bit about your shows. I know a lot of, especially lady sellers there, just have like almost like chat sessions, like just like we're having right now. You'll be in front of the camera, you'll be talking to chat, and you're not really focused so much on selling on that show. You're just focused on building a community. So talk a little bit about that.
So you're saying if that's important to do, or
Like talk about your strategy with that. Talk about like how often you do that, because I see so many other sellers kind of just hanging out, kind of like what we are. They might sell a couple items, or maybe that's like near the end of the show where you like have like 30 minutes specifically to talk to your community.
right? I think it's so important. I think Whatnot is not Poshmark, not eBay. There is a face that's attached now to the clothing you're presenting. People know you. People come to my show for me. They're not just coming because they're literally wanting to buy something every single day. Like no one can buy every single day. They're now coming because they want to support ZK. So I think it's so important for you to put in that effort and get to know your customers as well. So periodically, I would say every 2 weeks, I usually will have a sit down show right here, and I'll go live and I'll say Q&A and giveaways, and I'll give some stuff away, and I'll ask them questions, and I'll ask them what they're looking for, what kind of inventory they want. I'll ask them this or that questions, or they'll ask me questions and I'll respond. I think once you realize Whatnot is a very community-based app, your mindset completely opens up. Don't think of it like as Poshmark. Don't think of it as eBay. Think of it as like TikTok. You represent your channel here, and people love you for you. Like obviously, you give a wealth of knowledge, but they come here because they want to support, right? And they want to support K-Way Shop, right? It's the same thing on Whatnot. So there is obviously a strategy behind it, but beyond that, I genuinely love my crowd. We call it Z Crew in my channel. We're like, oh, welcome to Z Crew anytime there's a new purchase, right? But I love my Z Crew because it's filled with 99.9% women. They're super supportive. They show up for me all the time, and they're my hype girls. Like if I go through anything bad, I just talk to them and I feel better. So for me, it's so important to connect with your audience because they're going to stick around with you. They become your family essentially. And as cliche as it sounds, it's true. So I would say if you could find a way to connect with them a couple times a month, that would be amazing, just so that they can get to know the real you and not just the seller you.
Yeah, I've thought about that. Just hopping on Whatnot randomly. I know I've done it here where I've done literally lives every single night. Hearts. I've done lives every single night, pretty much for the last year and a half. You know, from the beginning when you were here from the beginning.
Sorry, will you hang tight?
Yeah.
Somebody told me my show started. I forgot to move my Whatnot show because I had a schedule. I'm gonna move it really fast.
Okay.
I'll be
Yeah. No
right back.
worries. Yep. No worries. Appreciate her being here. I saw a couple questions in the chat that I'll get to. I saw Jody. I saw your question about the iPad. I'll ask her as soon as she gets back about which iPad. I know the one that I bought. We just bought one of the newer ones. It wasn't anything like specific. I saw somebody tag me in her show too, and I was like, "Is she running her show in the background right now? Like, what's going on?" Appreciate everybody being here. All the new visitors too for being here. Like I said, I do these lives every single night. Normally we're listing for eBay, Poshmark, or Mercari, but tonight we brought ZK on. So yeah, somebody tagged me in your show, and I was like, why does she have a show going like right now?
I lost. So, okay, guys, what not to do is to leave a show on when you're not going to be scheduled on. I just lost my entire stream with 300 plus bookmarks. It's not a big deal. It is what it is, but don't do what I did. Okay, move your show. So I go in there and I schedule like a couple months in advance, and then I go back and I like try to, move it around based on my schedule, but it happens, you guys. Yeah. Don't
Somebody
do what
asked
I
about the iPad you have. So what, you have like a specific iPad that you would say to go out and get for Whatnot, or is it just any iPad will do?
Any iPad will do. Any sort of, honestly, the only reason people say iPad is because it's just bigger. It's just like I am super blind even with my contacts in. It helps me read the chat. I have one of those 10-inch screen ones. My brother got it to me for me as a gift when I first started Whatnot, to say, here you go, you'll need it, because he runs it through an iPad. But it could be an old phone. It doesn't have to be. I would just say the basic thing to keep in mind is having two devices. That is premium on Whatnot versus having one device. Because if I'm here and I'm tapping the screen, it starts shaking it. It's not as professional. People get dizzy. You won't like it. So it's good to have a device that you're moving around with. And Marilyn in the chat, like, she actually got me an iPad stand because I was struggling and like bending over all the time. And have a stand that your phone can stand on, so you can run, go look, run. Everything just runs as like a professional show. So I would say iPad is not necessary, but a second device is definitely something you should consider.
Yeah, we run our show off the iMac behind, so we'll swap back and forth, and Kayla will be over here running the show while I'm over there putting the next item up. I noticed too, when you do your shows, I haven't done this yet, and I've seen so many people do it, and I probably should do it. You have just like set items, so you'll have like 1 through 1,000 or something like that, and it'll say like whatever your title says. I don't know exactly what it says, but you're just literally doing the same item over and over again, but you're showing a different item. So talk a little bit about that strategy, because I haven't done that yet.
So I just started doing that. For the whole year I was a Whatnot seller. I was doing the loading stores. I was doing the pre-curated items. People knew what they were going to come in and see. And then I moved to Vegas just about a couple months ago, and I started really going hard on inventory. I started thinking, how do I scale up? Because I don't want to run an hour-long shows anymore. I want to run like 4-hour shows, and I don't want to run out of inventory. But by doing that, being an only person and a business owner, I simply ran out of time to load stores. So I'm like, how do I change the setup now? So I now call it, in my show, I call it inventory pulls. Miscellaneous inventory pulls. I set the same shipping limit of 12 to 15 ounces, and I'll say quantity of 200. So as I run an item, it'll say item number 1, item number 2, item number 3, and I have a hanger tag for each item I'm running. So you'll see me, I'll present an item, I'll put the 3 tag on there, item number 3 is running, then I go hang it. It allows me to run so efficiently and so fast, and then I'm able to run really high volume without having to preload the store individually, which I'm dyslexic and I'm alone. It takes me forever to do. It was taking me hours to do. Now I've become a lot more efficient running it. The caveat to that is you can set a certain, so if you're trying to be really smart about shipping on it, you can set certain categories. So I have that category, then I have a category for heavier items, which might be shoes. And I preset it at 1 to 2 pounds or 2 to 3 pounds. If I have home decor, it might be 2 to 3 pounds. If I have purses, it might be 1 to 2 pounds. You can create different categories and just run really, really fast, hitting each category based on the weight. For the most part, in clothing and women's clothing, 12 to 15 ounces covers majority of tops, bottoms, unless it's really heavy denim or something, then I'll run it at a pound or higher. But once you've run, like I have, I think 5,000 items I've sold on Whatnot or something, you figure out shipping pretty quickly because you've done it now for a year and you've sold thousands and thousands of items. So for me, like that's how I run it, and it's been working really well for me, like really really well.
Yeah, that was the thing I was actually going to ask, and you answered that was like, obviously there's some items that are like 15 to a pound. Like they're so close and you're holding it up. So do you just go, okay, since I think this is going to be a pound, I'll just go right to the pound?
Yeah. And
Okay.
because for the most part, shipping is very, very structured beautifully and whatnot. Prices are very reduced for shipping. People bundle for the most part, anyways. So it's not like that big of a discrepancy that I'm taking them from paying $4 to like $15. Nah, it's gonna be like maybe they're paying a flat rate of like $8 and it covers them up to 5 pounds or something like that. So for me, like efficiency wise, it made sense to just go over a couple ounces and just have them running in that window because chances are they're bundling anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk a little bit about pop-up shows. We've been trying to experiment with a little bit of popping up here and there just randomly, and I really don't care what stuff goes for because a lot of it is just I have piles of clothing that I just need to get rid of.
Right.
So if I make, $100 on that show, I don't really care because I got a bunch of sales. And of course, that money is dropped right into my bank account. So talk a little bit about pop-ups. Do you do them often? And what is your strategy behind them?
I don't do pop-ups often, and that's just because that's who I am as a person. Like I'm a very regimented person. I have to be on a schedule. Like I'm severely ADHD. I'm creative. I'm a gypsy. I tell people if I could live in a hut for the rest of my life, I would be okay. Like I need somebody to put me down and schedule me in order for me to show up, or I'm not showing up. So I'm that person. So pop-ups have never been my thing because I think that requires somebody to just be like, I'm just gonna go stream. I have the inventory and run it. And I think that's a beautiful thing on Whatnot. If you have inventory and you can pop up on different times of the day, you can capture now different types of a customer base and audience that you wouldn't have caught on your typical time. And then you can invite the same people and say, hey, I'm running a show later on, my normal scheduled show, come to that show or come to my show tomorrow. I wish I was wired that way. Now I'm wired where 7 p.m. I have to show up and it's my show, and I'm that regimented ADHD fixated human being, and I show up that way. Now, if I could do pop-ups, I would. I think they work beautifully, especially if you've built an audience where people are showing up. Even if you haven't built the audience, you might get new customers that you never did before. So I wish I did more of them. I just don't do them right this second because I'm already running 5 to 6 streams. I'm kind of burned out from them, to be honest.
Yep, I love that. I love that. You're on that side, and I'm on the exact opposite side. And that's what's beautiful is everybody can run their business differently. At this point, I want to be able to, and I think now that I've done a couple pop-ups and I see how many people we get in, I want to make it to where people see that notification that K-Way's live on a pop-up show at 2:30, and you don't know if K-Way just went to a thrift store and hit the mother load, and he's literally auctioning everything off in the back of his car for $1, and he
Yeah.
has 50 items that he's running right there. That's the kind of mindset that I want people to have is whenever they see that notification, they're like, I got to be there because I don't know what's going to happen.
And I'll tell you this, when I see some of my favorite sellers and I know they like weren't maybe scheduled and I see a pop-up that says, this person is live now doing whatever their title is, I get so excited. Because Whatnot has become like that app where we literally go to hang out sometimes, right? Now, while I'm hanging out, I might end up shopping. I didn't even know that for an item that I didn't need. I just get excited. So like for me, it's like they're asking if you can be on the treadmill. I'll answer that question, Cat Deal. I've seen that question a few times and I promise I'll answer it. So I literally just think if I can take away anything from this live right now, I will take that I need to do pop-ups because I personally get so excited seeing my favorite sellers pop up, and I think would be so interesting to kind of do an analytics and see like a show in the middle of the night. Like let's just say it's like 1 a.m. Okay, I pop up. Who's awake? Who's willing to shop with me? And who's going to show up for me? Same thing at 7 in the morning, which I've never done. I might be a zombie. And people might hate my attitude in the morning because I haven't had coffee yet. But I'm just curious to see how it would run. That would be a really fun thing to try out on Whatnot.
Even if you only ran 10 items, you should do a pop-up and you should see what your margins are on those 10 items because you might be surprised. You might pop up and be like, hey guys, I only got 10 items. Let's see, or I'm going to run them really quick. We're going to hang out for 15 minutes and chat. And then your margins might actually be better because people know there's a super limited supply for that one show. And they're just excited. Like you said, they're just like, hey, I didn't expect this to happen. So I'm going to pay a little bit more per piece. And you might come out a little more in your pocket.
I love that. I love that TikTok has. I wish Whatnot had these emoji. I have no idea what they mean. I'll be honest. I haven't done TikTok in a long
Well,
time.
they're sending you coins right now, so you've made a total of $2.50 on this live.
Hey, I love it. Thanks, guys. I love that. Thank you so much. I wish we had Whatnot send us these like fun emojis and stuff. It would just make my stream so much more fun if you got all these fun emojis coming in. I'm rich. I love it.
The one thing I wish TikTok would do that Whatnot does is be able to raid people because right now you can't raid anybody. So if we finish this live, it'd be great if I had like another reseller that was live and I could literally just take 174 people and put it over to their live. But TikTok doesn't do that. So TikTok, you need to do that.
That's my favorite emoji. I love that people are sending that.
What was that question? They were asking about 5 second sudden death. Talk a little bit about that.
So I was watching a stream. It was a different category. It was like a Pokemon card stream, and this guy was running like really. Oh my god!
Keep sending them. Let's go.
How do you keep? How do you focus? I distracted my whole stream on Whatnot if this was happening to me. I love it. Thanks, guys. It's giving me like a high. Okay, so I was I was watching this Pokemon stream, and this literally this guy was running. Whoa, money gun! Stop it! Oh my god, I love that. I actually have a literal money gun in my streams whenever somebody tips me. You guys, that is so funny. Okay, so. I was watching this Pokemon stream and this guy was running 5 seconds Pokemon auction and it was going like fire, fire, fire. He only had about not only, he had 100 people in his room. It wasn't like a super huge room, but his Pokemon stuff was going so fast. And I was like, yo, this is amazing. I should do this with women's clothing. But in our category, Brooke, Shop 801 Lane, had done 5 second a long time ago when she was clearing it out, but it really hasn't been done before. For the most part, we stick with about 15 second, 10 seconds in our category. So I scheduled a show for it. I had almost 300 people show up in that show, 250 consistently, and it was wild. And I became a little obsessed and addicted, and now I do it all the time in my shows. But I loved it. It was so much fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. If everybody in the chat would just listen to what she just said, she went to a Pokemon show to try to gain knowledge from the Pokemon show. I've done that. There you go. I've done that with, there's a guy in about the 5 second sudden death. I did 5 second sudden death like a couple months back. I ran a random pop-up show and I was just literally like blowing stuff out. 5 seconds, didn't really care. I was loading up in the background. I was watching a guy named Blazendary. I don't know if you know who he is, but he sells crazy amount of sneakers every single day on Whatnot. And he was doing 5 second sudden death on $1,000 pair of sneakers. And they were just right up to 1,000 every single time. I was like, holy cow, this is actually insane that people are bidding that fast up to 1,000 on shoes. So it's awesome that you go to other types of shows and try to gain knowledge from that. And that's super important.
Yeah, and my brother does comics and he's a pretty big seller in the Whatnot category for comics. So I told him about it and now he's implemented it in his shows and he absolutely loves it. He said the comps are insane. Now, it doesn't always work. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't always work. 5 seconds doesn't always work. It hasn't worked for me on some. It has worked for me on some. But literally, I think the message here is try new things because you never know the outcome. And if you have the right product, I think 5 second works when you have the right product. Like Blazendary, he's a younger dude, but he's so good. He knows, oh my God, a little pop, so cute. I love that. Thank you. And so I feel like if you have the right product and it's like a banger, so many people are going to be in swiping at that 5 second death, sudden death, that it increases the amount that you're going to get for that item versus just doing like a lame item, which I have done for five because I'm just trying to clear it out. It might be a $3 cost on that item, might be a $5 cost on that item, and that works too, but it's not going to get run up. You might get just the equal amount for it or a little bit more, but it works.
Talk a little bit about how you store your inventory. I notice you have a ton of racks behind you usually on your shows. Do you like use a bin system? Is it like as soon as you get an item in, you have like 5,000 racks like we can't see in the back of your house where you have it all racked up? How do you do the inventory system?
Yeah, so for me, I have a lot of racks because I don't like inventory in stuffed away. So for me, I'm a very visual person. My mom wanted me to have a storage system where things were in bins and stuff like that, and that might have worked for a little bit. But I could not remember anything. I have a really short term memory. And so I started hanging, thank you so much. I started hanging everything in racks, and I now have racks my entire place. So I have an inventory room in the front of the house. I have a dining area with racks. I have upstairs with racks, and everything is organized by brands and sizes. So I got these little labels. You get them from Amazon. They're like little round white colored tags, and you can Sharpie it and say small, medium, large. And now I have things divided between sizes. So when I'm getting ready for my actual show, I pull from these racks and I curate a show based on that.
That's awesome. That's like literally what I need to hear, because I think we're going to get down to the same point. Like right now we do bin system for eBay, Poshmark. Pretty much what we're bringing in for the week is what we're running on Whatnot. And now with consignment, we have a little bit more of a spread of inventory. But I want to get to the point where that's one reason I cleared out my garage just the other day, is because I want to have it to where I can have 4 or 5 racks just specifically for Whatnot that I can hang items up. And like you said, go through and pick and curate what I need for the next show. So that way, like you said, you can be size inclusive. You can have all the way from small all the way to like 4XL if you need that. So I think within the next couple months, especially after we hire my mother-in-law on, that's going to happen. It needs to happen because it'll make the process so much easier.
100%. And then you can literally, like your pop-up shows that you talked about, imagine doing those and you literally have racks hanging and you're just pulling. That's awesome. And you're just pulling from those racks for the pop-up show. Somebody's like, hey, do you have something in 2X? Yeah, I do. Here we go. And it just makes your life a lot easier. If you have the space for it, which is my whole reason of moving to Vegas, was getting my space and having a bigger area to accommodate that. I created my own boutique within my own house and I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. You literally can go. That's one thing I can't do right now. I can't go, like, if somebody says, hey, I need a 2XL like flannel, I can't go, hey, let me go grab one really quick. And that's powerful. That's really cool because you're going to get a sale there if you're able to do that. So I'm learning on this interview too. That's one reason I wanted to have you on, because I'm going to gain a bunch of knowledge from this too. So that's awesome. I'll take some last minute questions if anyone wants to drop a couple in the chat, and then I'll let ZK go because I know she's probably got like 6 shows lined up that she's got to get ready. She's always busy. And again, appreciate you having on. Like I said, this is a cool little full circle moment where you were in my lives back when I literally had 5 people in my lives. And you grew your Whatnot almost the exact same way that I grew my lives here on TikTok. And it's really cool to see. Because like I said in the beginning of the show, there's a lot of people that assume because we have a following, you have to have a following to grow your shows. And I told them for the last week, I'm bringing you on to show everybody you don't have to have a following. You can build it yourself, but it's going to take time. It's going to take dedication, daily lives on Whatnot. And that's what you need to do. You need to be dedicated to the process. And as you can tell from her answer, she is super dedicated to the process.
Can I ask you a question? I'm going to turn it to the
Yeah,
interviewer.
for sure.
So, like, for people like that, I know some of my crew came here and is supporting, and I see all of those comments. Thank you so much for being here. For them, if we are Whatnotters and we have no social media following, and we do want to be like you build social media following on TikTok from ground up, what is your advice for us to build a social media following on TikTok or Instagram or wherever?
Okay, so I'll specifically give my advice to you because I've already been thinking about this in the background. I knew I was going to have a conversation with you about this because I knew this is something you might be interested in. So you have a huge following that just wants you. They just want you. So when you do your Instagram stories, even when I'm watching them, I'm highly interested in where you're going, what you're picking up for the day. It's cool to see. So if you incorporated social media into just showing a glimpse of your daily life, that would be huge. Even if you go on TikTok, you go live. You don't need to do it on Whatnot. Maybe do it on TikTok where you go live and you just hang out with your chat. You show them you setting up a show in the background. One thing that most social media people don't get is people love their videos, but they miss out on their day-to-day life. Like, for example, let me just throw somebody out random. Thrifter Sifter. Everybody knows Thrifter Sifter. He's huge. He has 1 million followers on every platform. He's massive. Nobody knows what Thrifter Sifter does during the day. Nobody has a clue. If Thrifter Sifter put up a camera in the corner of the room and showed everybody what he did throughout the day, he would be probably twice as big as what he is right now, because that's what people miss. They want to see you. They want to see what you do, how you build your shows. That will build your community so much greater and faster because you're able to just answer questions right there. If somebody had a question about what you're doing, you could stop, answer your question, go back to work. That's the whole thing. Like when you came onto my TikTok lives, you saw me out in the garage doing my listings, taking my photos, and that probably intrigued you. Like, what is this guy doing? Why is he out in the garage taking photos? And then you learned, hey, I'm listing on eBay. You came in every day, asked me questions about what I was doing, and we built that kind of relationship where you are a sticky follower. You're not somebody who just caught me from a video. You caught me from a video, and then you came into my live and you saw like I'm a normal dude that's just out listing and grinding, and that's what you do. So my advice to you would be making videos. Long advice, but my advice for you would be making videos or doing lives showing your day-to-day process, and I think you would kill it because you have the personality that you could grow that following super fast.
Gotcha. And you would recommend like how often would you say go live on TikTok? When you did it, like were you going live multiple times a day?
Okay, so I got in trouble like a lot because I was going live 7 days a week, every single night. From right after I quit the post office job, I was going live from 8 o'clock, 8:30 after the kids went to bed until like 12 o'clock at night, every single night, just hanging out, answering questions, giving as much knowledge as I possibly could away to where Caleb was like, look, you got to take a break. And I saw the crowd growing. So I'm like, I can't take a break. Like I can't do it. Like I see where it's going to become. So I would say if you could do like a 30-minute live, like once a day, just pop up. Or if you're hanging out in the car, you just got Starbucks and you're just hanging out at Starbucks and you just want to pop up and talk to people, that you can treat that as a pop-up show, and you can just pop up and say, hi, what's up to everybody. I would say every day, or maybe like try to do it every other day. Do it as frequently as you can. I go live now sometimes twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day,
Wow.
sometimes for hours. Like I'll do an hour in the morning shipping live and I'll do an hour at night, but everybody gets to see what I do every single day. And they always know what's going to happen next. So that way, if you have an upcoming show, you could be live on TikTok and be like, hey, everybody go bookmark my show. Now you have a way to get people to bookmark your show from one platform to another platform instead of just doing the whatnot.
Good to know. Thank you. I appreciate all the knowledge that you just gave me. That is like mind-boggling. I was like, because I always think I'm so boring. Like no one's gonna want to see me. Like why would they want to see me? But like you're telling me it's totally the other way around. Like they would want to see the back behind the scenes stuff.
100%. And short form content is king right now. So if you can figure out, you just have to play around with it just like you played around with whatnot. Figure out what exactly your viewers want to see, and your view count will tell you that what your viewers want to see. So yeah, they're all telling you right now you're not boring. Guys, everybody in the chat, ladies, guys, everybody. If ZK went live on TikTok once a day or once every other day, would you be here to just hang out with ZK on live? See what they say. Hang out with the puppy on live.
Yay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Cool. I mean, I literally have no following on TikTok, so I feel like it'll be like 5 people, but that's okay. You all start somewhere, right? We all start somewhere.
Yep. And you already have the setup. You already have like where your cameras would be. So if you're setting up a show, you don't have to be like live somewhere random. Like I said, if you're setting up a show, you just stick the camera up in the corner and you start working on your show and moving pieces and showing off what piece is going to be on the next show. Cause like you said, you're not loading up each piece. So if people could preview what some of your pieces are, you're also moving people that way back to whatnot. So you're using both to your advantage. It's like a full circle thing. Like right now I have TikTok, I have Facebook, I have Instagram, I have YouTube, I have whatnot. I have all of those working together, so I can continuously move people. And I know you're not here in the morning when I do my morning lives. Right now I'm only live on TikTok, but in the morning I'm live on TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook all at the same time, taking questions from 3 different platforms. So you can do that too.
Gotcha. So you're literally on live on multiple platforms at the same time.
Yeah, so I have a app, or not an app, but it's a website called Restream, and Restream can link your Instagram, your Facebook, your YouTube, and I think a couple other together, all into one platform. It doesn't do TikTok. So what I do is I have my phone with TikTok, and then I have Restream over in the corner, and it keeps all my chats together, and it shows which person is commenting from what platform. So there's times that I have 160 people in this live, but I'll have 50 to 80 in another live. Between both of those. So it looks like I have 160, but I really have over 200 combined.
That's So cool. I'm really proud of you because I was there. I've seen you gradually build this up and have like such an amazing, consistent following where people are like so like into your knowledge and what you share because you've always been authentically you. Like I don't ever since I've seen you, which was a long time ago when I was actually more active on TikTok, which was probably a year and a half ago, to
Yep, pretty
now, like
long.
I haven't seen a change. Like you're humble, you share the knowledge. Both of you as a couple come across so sweet and down to earth, even on whatnot. Like you can't help but love you guys. Like you are just truly an epitome of somebody who's coming here wants to have the whole community do well with him. So that's
Exactly. And you have the same exact kind of personality that I see. Like you're authentically you. You're not trying to be somebody you're not. I know when I watched a ton of videos, you see those kind of people that are just, they're not. You see them on live and they're a completely different person. But if you caught me out and about at a thrift store, I'd be the same exact person that I am now. So that's really key. But you would kill it doing that, obviously, because you're authentically you at all times.
wow, I love it. It's so new, even seeing like the format here with lives and stuff. It's really cool. So thank you for having me over. Like I've learned so much, and like this alone, like this stream, like the emojis and stuff like that, it's really fun to see. It's awesome.
Were you inspired to resell when you saw sellers? Oh, that's a good question for me. We'll end it on this one really quick. Or was I inspired when I saw people's packages when I picked them up from USPS? For one, I hated it because obviously I had to haul all those packages, but it was cool learning from other sellers. There's a couple people that I can remember. One, for example, I learned a bunch from them. They were actually buying stuff in the US and selling it to people in Ireland, and they literally had a house on the street, and down the street they had another house specifically for their business that they ran the entire business out of. They just had racks and stuff in the house. Nobody lived there. It was just for their business. So yeah, I learned a bunch from them. But yeah, it was cool seeing the sellers on my routes and picking their brain. But that's not what got me into selling. It was watching Rally Roots on YouTube. That's who got me into reselling. So but yeah, I learned a little bit from my mail route too. So I use that knowledge to where I am today. So
I love it.
yeah, but I appreciate you having you on, ZK. I'm sorry that we had to reschedule this. We were supposed to do this last week, but obviously the stupid hurricane decided to come right near Florida, so I didn't know if I was going to lose power. So I was like, you know what, we'll just reschedule this for next week just in case. But appreciate you having on. Appreciate all your knowledge. Again, thank you for being a longtime follower. You've been here for a while from the beginning, and I definitely appreciated that. And I love seeing people from the beginning that were here growing, and you're the perfect example, like I said, of somebody who grew their following without having social media. And it's so cool to see. And I definitely, as soon as I saw your shows, I was like, okay, I got to have her on because people will learn so much from her. But just to pick her brain for an hour and a half would be so good for the entire community. So thank you so much. Tell the people where to follow you on all platforms so that way you can gain some more followers.
Thank you. If you guys are on Whatnot, it's ZK Styles. It's ZK Styles underscore official on TikTok, ZK Styles underscore official on Instagram. I'm a little more active on Instagram than here. I do a lot of sneak peeks in my stories and stuff like that when I go sourcing. But after this stream, I'm going to try to be a little more active on TikTok and do better. But yeah, if you guys want to follow me, thank you, friends. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on those
You
platforms.
can even
Thank you.
do those. You can do those lives on Instagram too. You don't have to do them on TikTok. You can grow your Instagram following too that way. So
I should do that. I really should. I may not come across this way, but I'm a little shy. I am. But I just have like a streaming personality, where you like force yourself to get out there. I love that emoji. Thank you for that. But no, I'm gonna do better. Thank you for also inspiring me today. I appreciate you.
yeah, definitely. All right, everybody. Appreciate you guys hanging out. When's your next show, by the way? So everybody can go bookmark it.
Tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific.
Awesome. And we got our next show. Like I said, we're giving away Yeezy slides on Saturday night. It should be a 100-item show. It's going to be awesome. So go bookmark that show if you haven't already. And I won't be live tomorrow morning shipping. I'll be live tomorrow morning at the thrift store. So if you guys want to come hang out with me tomorrow for 2.5 hours at a thrift store, follow me. And as soon as you hit that, see that live at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll be in a thrift store for 2 hours, just live thrifting, hanging out, showing you guys what I'm picking up, teaching you guys some things about brands. So definitely come back tomorrow. Appreciate you, ZK. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good one, guys.
Peace.